Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here. Last year I made a video about 31 Halloween cartoons you should watch. It was my most successful video of 2020, so I thought, you know what, this year I need to make a sequel. That's right, today I'm going to be talking about 31 more Halloween cartoons. Firstly, not every cartoon in this video is going to be set during Halloween. This is mainly to create a sense of variety because you probably get sick of me talking about 31 cartoons about trick-or-treating or Halloween parties. Secondly, I'm not going to go into too much detail about these cartoons. I genuinely want you to go and watch them without being spoiled. So this video is less 31 episode reviews and more of a series of recommendations. Okay folks, hope you're comfy and ready. Grab your trick-or-treat bags and your cup of pumpkin spice latte as I talk about 31 Halloween cartoons. The Addams Family Put. In this cartoon we learn of the Puttergeist, a golfer who was killed by a lightning strike and came back from the dead with a golf ball head. Wednesday and Pugsley don't believe in the Puttergeist, but their beliefs are challenged when the supposed Puttergeist attacks them while they're out trick-or-treating. Do I really have to explain why this special is worth your time? I mean, come on, it's a Halloween Addams Family episode. What more could you ask for? Well, okay, let me explain a bit more. The charm of this cartoon is seeing the Addams Family getting really into the Halloween spirit. It's obviously their most favourite holiday of the year, hence why they seem so excited.
Thank you!
Oh, Gomez.
Ah, Tish, what a night. Every time we open the door, it's another horrifying ghoul or goblin.
Oh, darling. Why can't every night be Halloween?
The Puttergeist may be introduced as the show's monster of the week, but he's up against Wednesday and Pugsley, two kids who love being scared and aren't afraid to fight back with brutal force. A lot of the comedy comes from the Puttergeist being more scared and traumatized than his own victims.
Bingo.
Ooh, he doesn't sound too good.
Don't worry, Thing's helping him down.
Oh no! Not that!
This Addams Family Halloween special really is a spooktacular alternative to the new terrible Addams Family movie that came out this month. In comparison, it's funnier, kookier, and understands the Addams Family way more. Cat Dogula. While out trick-or-treating, Dog gets bitten by a Peruvian vampire tick, and he turns into a creature of the night. The smell of garlic can stop Dog from being bloodthirsty, but the only way to rid his vampirism is by drenching his whole body in garlic juice. This is honestly the best concept for a Cat-Dog Halloween special, because having Dog being cursed as a vampire while Cat remains mortal creates this hilarious conundrum. Every time Dog tries to bite Cat, Cat can't simply run away or hide. Cat is a victim to the other half of his body, so he's immensely physically disadvantaged. This makes Cat's fight against the vampire curse worth being invested in, because he's having to save the day while fighting off Dog on his other end. But stakes are also made high by the fact that an angry mob is chasing after Dog, and the head of the vampire takes wants to bite Cat next. It's also funny how every time someone turns into a vampire, they suddenly speak in a Bela Lugosi Hungarian accent, regardless of whether that makes a lick of sense or not.
Come on, bite me! Bite me!
Ha! Don't make me laugh uncontrollably!
You need to put this cartoon in your treat bag this October, you won't regret it. Sofia the First, Ghostly Gala. Sofia has been working really hard to decorate the castle to look haunted for a Halloween gala, but a rude ghost called Dags is trying to scare everyone away because he wants to have his own Halloween party. It's actually quite rare to see princesses crossing paths with Halloween, two things that kids really love, so this special already gets points for bringing them together. The episode follows Sofia doing all she can to convince her loved ones that these hauntings are just party tricks. It's exhausting for her to keep up with Dax, but that just shows how much she wants this gala to happen.
My goodness! The xylophone, it just started playing by itself.
Oh, it must be Dax. Don't worry, Mom. This is just one of the spooky surprises I planned for the party. I asked Mr. Cedric to enchant the xylophone to make it look haunted.
Dags himself is also a fantastic guest villain. He's not exactly evil or scary, but he is charmingly charismatic.
You see, I'm not the type of ghost that enjoys going about haunting people. I'm more more of a curl up in the attic with a good book type of ghost.
Oni's little bat sidekick Boo is super adorable.
You're a ghost?
Ghost bat, huh? See the wings?
I didn't know the castle had ghosts.
We do end up finding ourselves sympathizing with Dax once we learn that his Halloween party only happens once every 100 years, and is the only time he can see his friends and family. We want Sofia's party planning to pay off, but we also feel sorry for Dax's loneliness. The problem is that neither of them will listen to each other's side of things. That's what the cartoon sets out to teach kids, that other people's feelings matter too, and coming to a mutual understanding is how everyone can be happy, which is a wonderful lesson on communication for children. If you want to see a Halloween special set in a spookily decorated palace with silly ghosts, then an invitation to this cartoon has been reserved for you. Beetlejuice, laugh of the party. When Lydia plans to host a Halloween party to show up the popular girl Claire, Beetlejuice decides to help make the celebrations more exciting by bringing the weirdness of the Neitherworld to this mortal party. Beetlejuice goes together with Halloween-like cheese and wine. It's like the ultimate recipe for the best kind of spooky fun. The episode takes its time building things up until the Halloween party. While Lydia is dreading everything going wrong, especially because her mum wants her to wear a cutesy bunny costume for the party, Beetlejuice is splashing out on novelties for the special night.
Hey! Party people in a can! Just add water for instant guests. Might come in handy.
We feel nervous for Lydia's school reputation, but we also can't help being a bit morbidly curious about what Beetlejuice has in store. When the party finally happens, we get to see Beetlejuice's vision come to life, and it really was worth the wait. However, things aren't as joyful as they sound. What do I mean by that? Well, you'll have to check out the episode yourself to see how things go wrong. Clifford the Big Red Dog, Boo. This Halloween, Emily and Clifford are going to the beach for a scary movie screening and delicious October treats. However, when the projection sheet falls on Clifford, everyone thinks that a giant ghost dog is haunting the town. This cute preschool cartoon is exactly what you need if you want something Halloween related to watch but need a break from scarier content. It's as harmless and wholesome as Halloween specials come. I like that the seaside horror movie screening brings the whole community together, as they share the fun of a creepy film as a town. I'm kind of envious because I've always wanted to go to an event like this.
It's okay, Clifford. It's just pretend.
But the episode is also a good lesson for kids. You see, Jetta keeps boasting that she's not scared of anything, not even the scary movie being projected. But once she mistakes Clifford for a real ghost dog, she shows that she is capable of being afraid. Emily assures her that it's okay to be scared, especially at Halloween. Halloween is just a fun little holiday, not a serious test of courage. And I'm glad this cartoon teaches kids that value. Dan versus the Wolfman. Angry Snake Dan finds claw marks down the side of his car, along with paw and footprints on the ground. So he calls his mate Chris, and says he's convinced that a werewolf scratched his car. Dan wants revenge on this monster, but of course Chris doesn't believe that it even exists. For most of the Halloween special, we're quite certain that Dan is wrong. I mean, Dan is an entitled narcissist with anger issues, so it makes sense that he's just letting his imagination get carried away. Plus, Chris comes up with a pretty grounded explanation for the scratch marks.
How could you be so naive? Look at the fur! Look at the paw prints! There's an animal shelter right there.
What follows is a long hunt for a wolfman, all while poor Chris is dragged along every full moon night. The cartoon's comedy all comes from Dan's crazy speculations. For example, he stupidly mistakes trick-or-treaters for real werewolves.
Wolfman! There he is! Get him! Trick or... Ah! Dan, stop! That's a Yeti!
The funny thing is, the Wolfman turns out to be real, but what's even funnier is that he matches Dan's theoretical description down to a T. This is one of the more mean-spirited Halloween specials out there, but if that's your jam, then give it a watch. Garfield's Halloween Adventure. Garfield loves Halloween because he gets to have as much candy as he wants, and this year he's decided to bring Odie along, so that he can get extra sweets. However, when Garfield decides to take a boat to another town, a piratey journey begins. This cartoon is considered by many to be one of the great pillars of Halloween specials. And you know what? I can see exactly why it's gained such a high reputation. Garfield's trademark sense of humour is a big reason why this special works, because his deadpan commentary on Halloween inspires a lot of funny sardonic jokes. It's these mocking quips that seasons the cartoon with some pumpkin flavoured spice.
Halloween's my kind of a holiday. It's not like those other stupid holidays. I don't get pine needles in my paws. There's no dumb bunnies, no fireworks, no relatives, just candy.
There's also a couple of songs in this cartoon too. which made me realise how surprisingly rare it is for Halloween specials to have musical numbers. Every song is catchy and jazzy. I enjoyed them so much that I look forward to when Garfield would sing next.
I may be lazy, I may be fat, I don't do laps, and I do not chat. I may be selfish, yeah, and all of that, but the one thing I'm not is a scaredy cat.
But Garfield's Halloween adventure is also unexpectedly creepy at times as well. From a mysterious old man with an uncanny valley design, to pirate ghosts that have a haunting spectral glow. If you've never seen this special before, then I urge you to put it on your October watch list, because it's a must-see every Halloween. The Great North, the Yawn of the Dead adventure. During Tobin family breakfast, Wolf tells his siblings Judy, Ham, and Moon about the legend of the Lumber Zombies, Lumberjacks of the Dead. Then, at school that day, the lights go completely out and strange things start happening, including the possible sighting of a lumber zombie. The appeal of this cartoon is never being fully sure about what's really going on. We constantly have Wolf's story in the back of our minds, but kids are also very susceptible to far-fetched tales. All we can do is make theories that ground what's happening. The episode is also a great bonding opportunity for the Tobin siblings. Judy and Ham keep insisting that Moon is really scared, not because he looks or sounds it, but because they're overprotective of him. Judy and Ham must come to learn that their little brother is braver than they think. We also get some pretty great subplots outside this zombie situation too, from Wolf and Honeybee taking part in a shrimp eating contest that escalates in stages.
Everyone is shrimp, the world is shrimp, shrimp are all I have ever known.
And all you will ever know. All of consciousness is just a pink shrimp waterfall stretching to shrimpfinity.
God, no, I'm
a shrimp. Me too, babe.
To Beef having a long nap in which he dreams about working of all things. If you like the quirky humour of Lauren Bashar shows, especially one set during October, then I can't recommend this cartoon enough. Men in Black the series, the Jackolantern Syndrome. Halloween is a special time at the MIB because aliens really love this spooky weird Earth holiday. Even the Grumpy Zed is in on the fun. However, an extraterrestrial has landed on Earth who happens to look a lot like an evil jack-o'-lantern and is capturing Earthlings for slave labour. Agent K and Hugh have to go and investigate what's going on, while Jay has been assigned the job of monitoring the worms trick-or-treating. These series agents want to be professionals, yet all the aliens around them are getting excited about scary stories or Halloween rituals. There's something inherently funny about special agents trying to follow Halloween traditions just to keep up peaceful morale between outer space races and Earthkind. At the same time, there's some laughs to be had from watching Jay being forced to babysit the trick-or-treating worms, who would much prefer something else instead of candy.
What'd you get? What'd you get? What'd you get? What'd you get? Candy. Me too. Me too. I got sardines.
That's no treat.
We've been chipped. We are Cabbie.
A little 411, fellas. Candy is the Halloween tradition.
Time for a trip.
Whoa, hold up!
Back at the MIB headquarters, Agent L and Zed are dealing with some apparent paranormal spookiness. This event actually inspires an interesting debate between Zed and L, as they argue about the existence of ghosts in a world where aliens are an accepted thing.
How do you explain this then?
Renegade electromagnetic field defective alien technology. There's 100 scientific explanations.
The paranormal is a scientific explanation.
Do ghouls exist alongside extraterrestrials in this world? Well, you'll have to watch the episode to find out. Pokemon, a festival trade, a festival farewell. On their journey, Ash, Serena, Clement, and Bonnie come across a Gorgeist festival, where everyone dresses up in Pokemon costumes. Even Team Rocket is in on the festival fun. However, the eccentric Count Pumpkin has his eye on Jessie's rare-sized Pumpkaboo. The Count asks Jessie if she'll trade her Pumpkaboo, so Jessie lies that Ash stole her Pikachu, and says that she'll agree to the trade if the Count can retrieve Pikachu from Ash. Now, there are quite a few spooky Pokemon episodes, especially ones about ghost-type Pokemon. But this episode is the closest to a full-on Halloween special, even though Halloween is never actually mentioned, because it doesn't seem to exist in the Pokemon universe. This festival is pretty much the same thing. People dress up in costumes, there's candy collecting, and delicious autumn food is served. Oh, and the fact that pumpkin-inspired Pokemon are a big part of the plot also helps the episode feel very Halloween-y too.
Gorgeist, Shadow Ball!
But at the heart of this special is Jessie's struggle to decide if she can let her Pumpkaboo go. Yes, Team Rocket are criminals, but despite their crooked ways, they are capable of genuine bonds with their own Pokemon. Jessie wrestles between her desire for a good trade and her friendship with her Pumpkaboo. It's a real test of her more compassionate side, an opportunity for her to realise what a great friend Pumpkaboo has been to her. I won't spoil what Jessie ends up deciding to do, but this Pokemon Halloween special is a wholesome little anime episode that captures the spirit of the season, while also giving us a chance to see Team Rocket's more sensitive side. Thomas and Friends, The Phantom Express. One dark night, James tells Percy to beware of the Phantom Express, a ghost train that haunts the tracks. Percy spends the night frightened of the Phantom appearing, all while James pretends to make scary noises nearby. I've always found railways to be kind of creepy myself, so the show setting actually really works for a ghost story cartoon. The emptiness of the tracks and foggy mist help to create this spooky atmosphere, perfect for making Percy feel apprehensive about what's ahead of him.
Percy's driver unloaded the mail, but Percy was still thinking about what James had said.
Although the episode is mainly a lesson about taking pranks too far, while James may be just teasing, he's playing with other trains' fears while they're busy working, so of course disaster is bound to strike.
Percy was so scared, he raced away without paying any attention to the red signal. Then there was trouble.
This is a short and simple cartoon that's good for younger kids or grown-up Thomas fans who want something light and train-related for their Halloween entertainment. The Amazing World of Gumball Halloween. Gumball, Darwin and Anais go trick-or-treating, but they end up stopping by a haunted house. Carrie the ghost explains that the dead come to this house to party every Halloween. Gumball and Darwin drink a potion to see the ghosts, but they end up becoming ghosts themselves after drinking too much potion. Now, a lot of people have told me to watch this show. This Halloween special gave me that opportunity, and you know what? I love it already. It's a really fun episode. First of all, I really like the ghost party itself. It's colourful and lively, plus every ghoul has a strikingly imaginative design. The show also comes up with lots of funny gags for each spirit too.
No, you broke my heart. Oh, you're so romantic.
There's entertainment to come from Gumball and Darwin's ghost adventures as well, because they take full advantage of the freedom of their spectre bodies, as they cause silly mischief and even hilariously possess a freaking T-Rex.
You take left, I'll take right.
Dude, it's way more complicated than it looks.
Move the calf!
Yeah, we'll bend the knees, man!
Put the hands out, put the hands out!
But there's a lot at stake in the story too, because we find out that if the boys don't get back in their real bodies before midnight, they'll be dragged down underground by the ghost world. So despite all the frolicking games, things do get serious. This is a brilliant Halloween special that instantly made me into a Gumball fan. It's that good. Rocco's Modern Life, Sugar Frosted Frights. In this Rocco episode, we learn of the Halloween legend called the Hopping Hessian, a ghost who takes away kids who eat Halloween candy. This myth scared Philbert so much as a child that he refused to ever eat Halloween candy. However, Rocco and Heifer encourage him to try a piece, only for the turtle to go completely loopy. This is exactly what kind of Halloween special I'd expect from a show as strange as Rocco's Modern Life. We're basically watching a grown man lose his mind from too much sugar, and it's as funny as that sounds.
Stay back, Poodle Boy. This is my sugar. Sugar.
You could also actually commend the episode on teaching kids to not get carried away with eating candy on Halloween, because too much sugar is bad for them, and can bring out their ill-mannered side.
Give me that blasted ball! What? Pennies? Are you insane?
We do eventually meet the Hessian himself, and while he might seem unsettling at first, kids will love the twist to his character. If you're after a cartoony and silly Halloween special this October, then give Sugar Frosted Frights a chance. Star vs. the Forces of Evil, Hungry Larry. This cartoon series is about an outer-dimensional princess living with a boy called Marco and his family. In this Halloween special, Marco's dad Raphael hosts a haunted house attraction, but no one finds it to be scary. So Star summons a monster called Hungry Larry to make this house spooky, but Larry turns out to be an evil human-eating beast. This is my first time watching Star vs. the Forces of Evil, and I wasn't expecting my first introduction to be this creepy. This is one of the most disturbing Disney cartoons I've ever seen, and I mean that sincerely. Hungry Larry is a truly terrifying animated horror character, the kind you'd find in much darker animated TV shows. He just seems a bit odd at first.
Larry? Larry, what you doing?
Oh, you guys are still here?
But once house guests start disappearing after they scream, and black goo drips from upstairs, it's clear that Larry is a serious threat. I also have to praise Billy West for giving Larry an authentically disturbing voice too. West is better known for his more comedic roles, but his voice for Hungry Larry is really haunting.
I'm Hungry Larry. I've been summoned here to haunt your home because you're not scary.
So yeah, if you like your Halloween cartoons to be a bit messed up, then save this episode for your Halloween Fright Fest. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, All Hallows Thieves. In this Halloween special of the 2003 TMNT animated series, the eponymous King of Thieves steals a magic idol and uses this statue to spawn monstrous thieving minions. It's up to the Turtles to stop this mastermind. It's quite cute seeing the Ninja Turtles, a band of skilled warriors, happily enjoying the festivities of Halloween together as brothers. I especially love a scene when the siblings get nostalgic about trick-or-treating memories.
Remember when Master Splinter used to take us trick-or-treating?
Definitely. It was the best day of the year. We'd get enough candy to last for months.
However, when called into action, the Turtles do take things very seriously, and know that they need to stop this villain. The King of Thieves is a terrific antagonist for the episode too, because he's got this campy charm to him that reminds me of a 70s horror movie villain, and he takes great pride in being called the King of Thieves.
For you see, I am the King of Thieves!
Okay.
More like the King of Tacky Bling.
It's also refreshing to see a villain who isn't yet again taking over the world or getting revenge, but just stealing everything he can, regardless of its worth or value. That might not sound complex for a baddie, but not every villain needs to be complicated. A straightforward kleptomaniac can be a good enough motive. Even if you don't find the king to be intimidating because he'd rather nick things than fight, the show compensates for this by bringing the idol itself to life. A giant monster who makes for a formidable foe for the Turtles. Give this Halloween special a watch this October if you want something that's a fun mix of goofy comedy and cool action. So we're halfway through this video. I'd just like to remind folks to consider subscribing to my channel, and if you're already subscribed, don't forget to click that notification bell. Thank you, now let's carry on. Apple and Onion, the Eater. Apple and Onion end up in the same dream together, one that's set in a dystopian world where a giant baby is eating everybody. Our heroes also find out that they're the ones prophesized to defeat this oversized dot. Now, a giant baby might not sound very scary, but from the perspective of food, it's freaking horrifying. To be fair too, this monster is an eating machine. It won't stop hunting down snacks to eat, and this relentlessness is quite intense. We also come to learn that this might not be a dream, because neither Apple or Onion can wake up, even after pinching each other many times. So we spend a lot of the episode speculating whether this is real or not, which makes our characters' decisions into risky gambles. I never thought I'd be recommending a cartoon that's essentially Attack on Titan meets Rugrats, but here we are. The Simpsons Halloween of Horror. It's Halloween for The Simpsons, and Lisa is now old enough to go to Krusty's Horror theme park this year. But she finds the whole experience way too scary, and Homer takes her home. Lisa decides that she doesn't want to celebrate Halloween this year, and the family have to adapt to her choice. Many folks consider Halloween of Horror to be one of the better modern Simpsons episodes. While it's not as funny as classic Simpsons, it's certainly one of the far more watchable new episodes. Mainly thanks to how the story authentically represents childhood trauma. The show does feel sorry for Lisa's internal struggles, treating her psychological scars with sincere compassion. Her experiences will be very relatable for kids who are too scared of Halloween or recently went through a personal trauma of their own. At the same time, her parents do their best to respect Lisa's feelings, even though they clearly love celebrating this holiday. Marge also goes out of her way to make sure that her other kids still get to celebrate Halloween, knowing that it isn't fair that Bart and Maggie miss out. The episode's villains, a group of Halloween store workers who Homer got fired, are surprisingly intimidating. Sure, they're just a bunch of idiot slackers, but they use their novelty Halloween gimmicks to create an ominous presence, and it's clear that they're not playing around. They're prepared to hurt Homer and maybe his family.
We're coming to get you.
and no fancy ceiling door is gonna stop us.
Halloween of Horror might not be as good as a Golden Age Simpsons episode, but it deserves its reputation. An endearing, spooky coming-of-age story that paints childhood trauma in a sympathetic light. The wonderful world of Mickey Mouse. House ghosts. After local townsfolk kick a trio of ghosts out of their house, Mickey offers to let them stay at his place until they can find somewhere new, but these spirits end up taking advantage of the poor mouse. This is a very funny Mickey Mouse cartoon that takes its humour from the contrast between the sweet Mickey and 3 despicable ghosts. The ghosts' antics are quite creative, because they're always finding new ways to haunt or torment Mickey, and Mick's reactions or responses are comedy gold. These gags are made even funnier by how fluidly expressive the animation is, thanks to the show's more zany take on Disney's famous mouse. This short is also a good lesson for kids about not being a pushover, that you're not a bad person if you set barriers with people, because no one deserves to be walked over. Even Minnie is worried about Mickey's treatment, because she can tell that these ghosts are ruining his life. Luckily, she's the one who inspires a solution to the situation, so give this cartoon a watch if you want a quick spooky laugh this season. The Powerpuff Girls. Abracadabra. Many years ago, famed magician Al Lucian was humiliated on stage and accidentally died a tragic death. Cut to present day, Al's corpse has risen from the dead as Abracadabra, and the Powerpuff Girls must defeat him. This show is renowned for its diabolical rogues gallery, and Abracadabra lives up to that legacy. His design is grotesquely detailed, his very presence causes the sky to go red, and he now has real magic at his hand. His vengeful spells conjure up some punishments that are quite dark for a kids' cartoon too. Risks were certainly taken when the showrunners came up with Abracadabra, because he makes typical children's cartoon villains look cute.
Now you meet your doom.
The Powerpuff Girls have already been traumatized by a zombie movie this evening, so the fact that they have to overcome their fears of zombies to save the day is the very definition of heroic. While this cartoon might not be set during Halloween, it's got all the quirks and traits of a great horror tale. Ed, and Eddie's Boo Ha Ha. This Halloween, Eddie is using a map to get to Spookyville, a town where candy is given out in spades. But Ed has watched too many horror films this Halloween and keeps getting warped visions of the cul-de-sac kids as monsters. The map aspect of the Ed's trick-or-treating trip really makes it feel like a proper Halloween adventure, because instead of hopping door to door, they're following a scavenger hunt designed by Eddie's brother, with every stop being something ridiculous or strange.
It says here, the next clue to look for is an abandoned hearse. How silly. Where on earth would we find... That's it! You found a clue!
However, the best thing about this Halloween special is Ed's horror movie delusions. It's so fun to find out what kind of ghoul or creature Ed pictures each kid as. Every monster is given a wild, over-the-top design, and they're animated with imaginative flair.
The Headless Horseman from Cirrhosis on the Liverpool!
If I was to best describe this cartoon, I'd say it's like watching It's the Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown after taking too much acid. It's bonkers, hilarious, and just downright silly. Gravity Falls. Little Gift Shop of Horrors. This episode is from the perspective of someone who has stumbled into the mystery shack after their car broke down, and Stan tries to sell his merch to them by adding stories to each product. Stan is the ideal host for a horror anthology, because he looks and acts like a keeper of dark fables or shady tales.
Perhaps you'd be interested in buying, this magic pig! Sure, he doesn't look magic, but there's a very interesting story I'm about to make up about him.
The stories themselves are all fantastic too, not a single one seems out of place or less good than the others. It's 3 solid bangers. None of them are actually scary, but they're certainly very weird and memorable. Heck, most of these stories are quite wholesome, and they all set out to teach good lessons for each character. Oh, and the whole special is laced with Gravity Falls' usual silly sense of humour, so expect a lot of laughs from each story. I particularly get a lot of chuckles out of the segment Clay Day, because as a stop-motion animator myself, I can really relate to the jokes about my craft. There's some harsh truths to the satire that I delight in.
But how are these things real? What about stop motion? What? Do you really believe someone moves these figures one frame at a time? I'm not a masochist. I used black magic to make them animate themselves.
Little Gift Shop of Horrors is a brilliant anthology special with 3 top-tier strange stories, each of which make great use out of the Gravity Falls setting. It's really worth your time. Codenamed Kids Next Door, Operation Tricky. Number 4 refuses to trick or treat because he thinks it's a stupid tradition, but when the other kids bet that they can collect more candy than him, 4 decides to join in on the fun to prove otherwise. However, it turns out that a band of pirates are stealing sweets from unsuspecting children. This trick or treat story has a good incentive for our characters' candy collecting, one that makes the tradition very competitive. You can either root for number 4 because he's the underdog in trick or treat, or you can root for the other kids because you don't like number 4's attitude towards Halloween. The most entertaining thing about this Halloween cartoon though has to be the pirates. Stickybeard himself is a really fun villain. He claims to be proudly evil, but he's kind of a big kid at heart.
Now, let's see what candy comes our way next. Ooh, someone's coming.
What? Where?
Does this Halloween special sound fun to you? Then cue Operation Tricky this October. Hey Arnold, Headless, Cabbie. In my last 31 Halloween cartoons video, I talked about the Hey Arnold Halloween special, but did you know that there's also Hey Arnold episodes that focus on spooky urban legends? Yep, and these stories can get pretty damn spine-chilling for Nickelodeon cartoons. One such tale is Headless Cabbie. In this episode, Arnold is hosting a sleepover with his friends, and he tells them the scary story of a headless cab driver. Legend says that a woman hopped into a cab for a ride through the park. She gave the cabbie a scarf to keep him warm. Suddenly, the woman heard her lost dog's barks, so she urged the cabbie to drive faster. But as the horse trotted faster and faster and faster, the cabbie's scarf twisted around a tree, and he lost his head. After Arnold tells this story, the boys go out for ice cream, taking a shortcut through the park. Along their walk, frequent coincidences that resemble the Headless Cabbie story start happening. What makes this cartoon so great is the atmosphere it builds. The autumn leaves blowing in the wind, the foggy mist blurring what's ahead, and the moonlit lighting all help to create this blood-curdling mood, made all the more unnerving by the fact that we just heard a creepy story set in this very park.
Speaking of quinky dinks, Arnold, looky there!
No! It's the red scarf of the Headless Cabbie!
You guys, cut it out! This is crazy. It's just an old scarf. There's nothing weird going on here.
At the same time, it's funny seeing these coincidences turning out to be something silly or unusual. It's these humorous twists that can help more easily frighten kids handle the spookiness of the episode. So, is the Headless Cabbie real or not? Well, you'll have to watch the cartoon yourself to find out. Fu Panda Legends of Awesomeness, The Po Who Cried Ghost. After Shifu is informed of strange apparitions happening nearby, he heads out at night with Po to find out what's going on, only for Po to come face to face with the legendary hopping ghosts. One thing I like about this cartoon is that Po's obvious fear of ghosts shows kids that even the strongest of people can get scared sometimes. Po might be a kung fu master, but that doesn't mean that he's never frightened. Who can blame him in this case too? The hopping ghosts are pretty damn creepy for kid show standards. Their faces have this constant evil stare, their stiff bodies make for disturbing unnatural movements, and they're surprisingly good fighters despite their undead states. That's the best thing about this episode's premise. It inspires lots of exciting supernatural fights that take advantage of animation's freedom. There's something pretty cool about seeing martial arts heroes going up against ancient zombies with detachable bodies.
Yes!
Make time for this spooky cartoon if you want a kung fu spin on your Halloween entertainment this month. Pepperon, Tween Halloween. Pepperon is a really big fan of Halloween, but this year she's beginning to question whether she's too old for trick-or-treating. The whole I'm getting too old for Halloween plot is a frequent premise for a lot of preteen cartoons. However, that's not a bad thing. It's a phase that all kids go through as they grow up, and this is Pepperon's turn. Pepperon is a pretty dorky and weird kid, so her relationship with Halloween is quite personal because it's a holiday that represents so much of her personality. She doesn't simply abandon Halloween overnight though, but rather contemplates what's the right thing to do, and even asks other people's opinions on the matter. Pepperon might be a goofball, but she's also a very deep thinker. It's a very real struggle for her to work out how she feels, and that's where the heart of her character arc lies. Is she really an immature person for still liking trick-or-treating, or is she letting societal norms hold her back from being herself?
What is it with you? You're moping around, dissing your friends, eating lunch in the metal shop. Just go trick-or-treating. I can't go out. Can't go out? Try won't go out because no one else will. You told Milo you wanted to be bold, daring, and different. Here's your chance. Take a stand.
I won't give away what she eventually decides to do for Halloween, but I will say that it's a wonderful conclusion that fits her character. Where on earth is Carmen Sandiego? Trick or treat. Based on the 90s video games, this cartoon follows junior detectives Ivy and Zach as they try to hunt down the infamous criminal Carmen Sandiego this Halloween. This is perhaps the most educational Halloween special I've ever seen. That's because the Carmen Sandiego TV show is designed to be edutainment. You see, each clue is related to a real piece of history, geography, or culture. In this particular episode, everything is a reference to something spooky or Halloweeny. I really appreciated that the episode touched on the pagan origins of Halloween, because that's something that more kids should learn about. The show even tests audiences' memory skills by quizzing them during the ad break, so extra points for that. But of course, kids watch this series for the chase, and they won't be disappointed this time. The adventure Ivy and Zach go on for this Halloween is full of various interesting locations, all culminating towards a showdown in a spooky haunted house, which is a real test of Zach's courage because that's his biggest fear.
Okay, it's fake. All fake. I'm cool. That guy's not watching me. It's not real. It's just my imagination.
This is a richly informational Halloween special with a very engaging mystery story. If that sounds like your cup of tea, then I encourage you to hunt it down this October. The New Adventures of Madeline. Madelines Halloween. Madeline and her friends each have international pen pals who live in America, but they've never met them in person. That's until they're invited to meet face to face in New York, where they're celebrating Halloween. According to this special, Halloween is less celebrated in France, so Madeline and her friends are very new to this spooky holiday. This makes the episode a great introduction to Halloween for kids, especially for kids who feel apprehensive about it.
You dress up in costumes and go trick-or-treating from door to door. Yep, and there are ghosts and goblins and creepy things. It sounds so scary. It's a little scary, but a lot of fun.
But the cartoon is also a great celebration of diversity, because Madeline and her friends each get to meet girls of different ethnicities, which leads to a wholesome sharing of cultures between new friends.
In France, we say, vive la différence. The differences between us make life more interesting.
Yes, Mrs. Clavel!
Madeline's Halloween builds up to a night of trick-or-treating, but it's not actually the focus. You see, Madeline finds a pair of spider earrings in her treat bag. We end up with this adorable detective story about finding the earrings' owner, and the episode actually gave a clue to kids that they'll remember from earlier on. I was expecting a Madeline Halloween special would just be Madeline causing mischief on Hallows Eve, but I was surprised to realise that it's so much more than that. It's a delightful holiday special that champions cultural diversity and helps kids who are new to Halloween feel less afraid of it, all while giving us a fun little detective mystery. Lloyd in Space. Halloween scary, fun action plan. When Lloyd agrees to escort his sister Francine and her friends while they go out trick-or-treating, he teams up with his mates to scare the little girls. The boys have so much fun frightening the children that they dare Francine and her friends to go into Boomer's haunted house attraction. Of course, the girls end up running out screaming, and the boys laugh mockingly, so Francine asks her brother and his friends to go into the haunted house themselves. Lloyd and his pals joke about how unscary this attraction is, but once they go through the exit, they end up 10 years in the future. In this timeline, everyone in Intrepidville has vacated, because a predator alien prowls the station, a space creature who can turn people into monsters with one bite. Lloyd opens the cargo bay door to suck the predator alien into space, and his friends find out where the key to the exit is, but the predator alien has bitten all of Lloyd's mates, and they morph into hideous beasts. I actually think that this is one of the more underrated Halloween specials out there, and I'm surprised people don't talk about it more. There's a creepy atmosphere to an empty Intrepidville, especially when we know that a monster is lurking in the hallways. The predator alien itself is quite intimidating too, because it moves really fast, and the fact its bites screw with people's DNA is pretty unsettling. But I think the best part of the episode is when we cut to 50 years into the future. Lloyd is now very old and sheltered in his home, while his friends stand outside eager to bite him. It's his years of loneliness that make him realise how cruel he was to Francine, and we get a moving self-reflective speech from him.
You know, when you're someone's older brother, treating them crummy just seems like the natural thing to do, but for 50 years now I've had the golly stomping Willy Wonkers scared out of me on a daily basis, and nothing makes me feel lousier than how I wasted the time I had with my sister. I'm sorry, Francine. I'm sorry. I'll
be quiet about what happens next, but this cartoon is a terrific sci-fi Halloween special. that teaches the importance of not being too mean-spirited at Halloween, and remembering that some kids are too young for genuine scares. Where's Waldo? Welsh trick-or-treat. Just as Waldo and Gwenda are about to go trick-or-treating, they're sent a message by Odd Lulu, who is at a Welsh castle and has a magic wand. Waldo and Gwenda must travel to Wales to retrieve the wand before things get out of hand. First of all, can I just say that it's awesome to see an American cartoon set in Wales? Welsh culture is often overlooked in American entertainment, so it's fantastic that Where's Waldo is giving it some representation. It's just a shame that none of the Welsh characters actually have Welsh accents.
Before we had pumpkins to carve, the first jack-o'-lanterns in Wales were made of turnips, but they still did the same job.
When we get to the castle, Odd Lulu uses the magic wand to bring cute Halloween decorations to life, and she fails to scare Gwenda or Waldo. However, once a pop-up Dracula gets hold of the wand, the monster making becomes far more chaotic. Now sure, Dracula is far from a scary antagonist in this special, but he's certainly very charismatic and Chris Parnell gives him a deliciously campy voice.
Now, if we're gonna have a real Halloween bash, we're gonna need some monsters.
Plus, I love that the monster decorations retain their two-dimensional cardboard or plastic designs, because it makes for unique character animations for all these creatures. This is a colourful Halloween special that really gets into the party side of Halloween, while also shining a spotlight on Welsh culture. The Batman. Grundys Night. According to Gotham urban legend, a swamp monster called Solomon Grundy is set to emerge this Halloween. When a villain resembling Grundy starts attacking citizens throughout the night, Batman must step in to defeat this beast. One thing I like about this episode's premise is that it causes Alfred and Bruce to debate about the validity of this swamp creature. While Alfred insists that Grundy is a real bona fide monster, Bruce says that science will explain the situation. It leads the two to debate on two opposite sides of the rationality spectrum.
I just don't want to have to believe in the boogeyman too, Alfred.
You would be wise to listen closely, sir. The legend may provide a clue to lifting Grundy's curse.
Solomon Grundy himself is this tall, decrepit humanoid who will stop at nothing to destroy. He's a tough foe for Batman to fight, because he can demolish entire buildings and I doubt he can be reasoned with. He's just this wrecking ball who treats Bruce like a fly in his way. However, is this really Grundy the Swamp legend? The Dark Detective must answer that question himself. Don't worry, I won't spoil what the truth is, but hardcore Batman fans might be able to crack the code right away. Craig of the Creek, Trick or Creek. When Craig and his friends realise that this year's Trick or Treat candy collecting will pay off their debts to Kid the Trader, they decide to join forces with Craig's little sister Jessica, so that they can use her cuteness to get more candy. However, someone dressed as the urban legend No-Neck Nephew is stealing every kid's candy. This is my first time watching Craig of the Creek, and boy was it a great intro for me. It's fun seeing kids trick-or-treating with a motivation beyond getting their own candy, because their debts give their Halloween night a serious incentive. Jessica is also fantastic at playing up her adorableness to the adults, all while wearing a super cute Dr. President costume. She knows her power, and I loved seeing her flex it.
Your prescription is to give me candy.
Aww. There's also a creepy but hilarious subplot in which Dwayne deals with the candy-obsessed Bobby, who keeps coming back to the Williams household for more treats. His constant returns get funnier and funnier, as Dwayne gradually gets more and more disturbed.
Huh? This is ridiculous. This kid's got me scared in my own car. I'm a grown man. I ain't tripping over no trick.
Trick or treat.
But the sweet center of this episode is a heartfelt message about the true meaning of Halloween.
You can't give up. No one should be robbed of their right to enjoy Halloween. This is the one night of the year where you can be who you want to be. Eat what you want to eat. And it won't last forever.
I've never heard Halloween described so lovingly like this before. It made me quite emotional, especially when the message is affectionately tied in with the No-Neck Nephew legend later on. Trick or Creek is such a great Halloween special that it made me want to watch more episodes of Craig of the Creek. It's a funny and endearing holiday treat that I thoroughly enjoyed, and I hope you like it just as much as I did. Okay, so those are all the Halloween cartoons I'm going to be talking about. If your favourite Halloween special wasn't discussed, please don't take it personally. This is not a top 31 video or a ranking of the best. I just picked at random. However, feel free to let everyone in the comments section know which is your favourite animated Halloween special and why. I've been Jambareeqi and I hope you enjoyed the video. Cheerio, folks.